All right, guys, and let's get rocking and rolling. So we have avoiding the fallacy of modern health culture for you today. And what I'm going to dive into is I'm going to cover some of the misconceptions that exist out there, right? I'm really tired of people struggling and trying really hard to make things happen, and it's just not playing out how it should be because they fell prey to the gimmicks, to fake marketing, to the Instagram BS that lives out there. There's a lot of bad health information out there. So today I'm going to cover a lot of those things and give you some counterpoints on what you should be doing instead of what is going on right now. I'm just pulling up the live so I can see your guys' comments. Please let me know where you guys are joining from. I love to see where people are tuning in from. Let me just type that in. Let me know where you are joining from. I like to see where you guys are tuning in from because people coming in from all over the world. I have people from Africa, India, Europe, Australia, all over the place. But today, before I dive into the show, I'm going to cover the agenda, but first introducing the administrative part, right? This show is sponsored by Perspective Force. So if you see there, www.perspectiveforce.com, it's a corporate coaching company that brings all umbrellas of coaching under one roof and helps organizations to find competitive advantage through their people, right? Really, truly optimizing the human operating system by coaching in all different directions under one aligned system. 10% Fitter is an arm of Perspective Force. It's the health arm, health category, right? We have 6 other categories. I'm Coach Anton, right? See a nice little picture of me there. I've been coaching for over 10 years in many different verticals, and 10% Fitter is what I'm just releasing because my dad passed away 25 years ago, so I'm doing 25 workshops to help the world elevate their health. So let's really dive into the agenda so you know exactly what's going to be coming up. So the first thing first is we're going to discuss stop chasing health as a destination. We'll talk about finite goals are dangerous alone. We'll discuss 6-step goal setting process. We'll talk about why perfectionism is an enemy. We'll discuss the deadly all or nothing approach. Quick fix mindset is not helping. Disconnection from a future self is kind of hurting us. Stop falling for gimmicks. And if you do diet, do it the right way. So I'm going to cover some of these things here coming up in this workshop. Lots of slides, guys, lots of information. Just remember, I'm not trying to have you memorize all this and retain all this. The goal of these 25 workshops, and the recordings are always available for you forever, is just to get you to ask better questions. You guys, you're seeing too small of a picture of health and you're not able to see this. So I know that some of this stuff is dry, some of it is challenging to understand, but I need you to sit through these 25 workshops and see that bigger picture, because I'm telling you, once you see what I see, you're going to understand health from a completely different standpoint. And a lot of these charlatans out there that are trying to rob you will not be successful, right? So let's first look at the board and see healthy living is a journey, not a destination, right? Bunch of different ways that says that in that slide. Whether it's mental health, it's your nutrition, it's your resistance training, it's just healthy living in general. It's not a destination, guys. It's not something that you're going to reach for. Here's a little bit of an explanation, right? Because many of you are reaching for better health, and I'm not saying that initially that's a bad thing. You need to feel what good feels like, because many of you are gone so deep into the hole of being unhealthy that you've forgotten that amazing good feeling. You've forgotten what you're fighting for, right? So sometimes having a little bit of a destination, but always having the bigger picture behind it, knowing, okay, I'm going to converge first, get a little healthier, see what it feels like, and then diverge into a much better application of health, the big picture. So understand that health is truly, it's a vehicle. Health is a vehicle to a thriving life and business. That's something that many people just don't get. But those of us that have been healthy and have taken it to another level, where we're not just trying to reach a good enough state, we're reaching optimal state where our body's performing the way it was designed to be. And guys, your social behavior ties directly into this. I made a post about this yesterday. I was talking to a client. This client seeing things from a really bad lens. Things like she's not successful in her business. And we sat down, and it's not really the case. It's because she's stressed. She's not taking care of herself. She's got a really bad set of goggles on, right? So she's put those goggles on, and those goggles make everything seem bad. But is it because everything is truly bad, or is it because of the goggles that she's wearing? Those goggles are her internal state. It's her health. It's her physiology. So those things all matter. They're very important in order to be able to see your life for what it is versus seeing your life for how you are. And that happens all the time, guys. So understand that health is the vehicle. It's not that destination. So one of the biggest things that we do wrong is we chase weight loss. Right, you got this person going ham on the treadmill, January 1st, right? I'm gonna go all out. Anybody here have a January 1st weight loss goal? Probably did. And that's okay, guys. I'm not making fun of that, but I want you to have better plans. I do. I want you to have better plans than some New Year's resolutions that fail probably by now already. Because chasing weight loss is not the right thing. We'll talk about what you should be chasing here in a sec. So don't chase weight loss. Focus more on things like, and that's another thing that we chase. We chase the perfect body, right? We're chasing that thing that's supposed to be helping us to reach the new potential, new physique that's going to solve all our problems, our confidence issues, and things like that. It's not going to happen, guys. I've seen people chase a perfect body and progress where they went from being overweight and they hated their body to where they were very fit, and guess what? They still hated their body because their understanding of who they are and their body and their systems and the way they were approaching things was completely wrong. And even though they got much better and got to where they thought they wanted to be, they kept getting harder and harder on themselves. Instead of wanting a 6-pack, they wanted an 8-pack, and then they wanted a 10-pack, and they wanted to have paper thin skin, because there's always somebody better looking, somebody with a better body, and comparison is a dangerous game. We'll talk about that in a sec. But don't chase your, this healthy or this perfect body, right? We should be looking at something different. So Simon Sinek came out with this new book that everybody's all raving about. And guys, I'm a Simon Sinek fan. Don't get me wrong. I think the guy is a smart dude. He's a great dude. But in behavior change, we've been talking about this for decades, forever. But now some famous guy comes out and everybody's like, oh my God, you got to play the infinite game. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's okay. As long as people are shifting, I don't care why you're shifting. But understand that this concept's existed for a really long time. Right? And it has to do with goal setting. So first of all, understand that goals have many different categories. And oftentimes you just get sold on one of them and you don't see the whole picture. You need to understand that there's kind of multiple categories that are dual-sided for goals. You have behavior and you have outcome-based goals. So a behavior goal is something that is a choice, right? We're going to talk about that in a sec. I'll show you guys the 6 steps of 10% Fitter. And outcome is something that's going to be an actual outcome. Then you have your finite and infinite goals. Then you have your logic and emotion-based goals. And there is a system that puts it all together. I'll cover this in the next slide, but understand that oftentimes when you're setting goals, you're not seeing this big picture. You're not seeing that that's how it's supposed to be put together. And then you're setting expectations of yourself that are not realistic, that are not actually backed by a good plan that makes everything fit. You think that that goal is going to accomplish itself and it doesn't, then you beat yourself up thinking that you're wrong and you did something wrong, but that's not the case. That's not what actually happened. So that's what's going on there, guys. If you're just joining, we're just discussing some of the things that people do wrong as far as nutrition fallacies, health fallacies, and things like that. So here's the six goal steps for 10% Fitter, right? And it starts with kind of like a clock, right? You got the top right, or sorry, my backwards screen, top right is where you start, and then you work your way around clockwise. So first is short-term behavior goals. Guys, I'll cover this in a lot more detail because this is a really high-level workshop, but I'll cover it in the future a lot more detail. But short-term behavior goals that lead into long-term behavior goals, once you've established and conquered yourself 7 days, something short-term, okay, now it's starting to become a habit. And then let's keep that habit going for 30 days to truly set it as a habit. But these are not outcomes. These are choices. You chose to go to bed at 10 p.m., right? Maybe not fell asleep at 10 p.m., but your alarm made you go to bed at 10 p.m. That was a choice. That's how you start things out. Then come short-term outcome and long-term outcome goals. Until you establish behaviors, stop trying to chase outcomes. Because in order for you to get those outcomes, those behaviors have to be present. And if you shoot for outcomes too soon and you miss, that's a problem. It's demoralizing. It really hurts your motivation. But if you start creating specific goals and you start creating winning momentums, that's going to be something that's much better for you, right? And it's funny, like I know this stuff's dry and I see people dropping off. So kudos to all of you that are still watching. Like just shout out to you because I see the numbers change on the live, and it's interesting because if I was telling you right now, hey guys, 6-pack in 30 days, lined up out the door. The viewership would be nuts. And guys, I can do that easily. It wouldn't be true. But people wouldn't get anywhere. Those of you that are still watching this, that are really giving yourself a chance to dive into your health and go, you know what? I don't want some kid on Instagram at 21 years old with a six-pack telling me how to get it at 40. Because they have no freaking clue. So kudos for staying true to yourself. Kudos for being a little bit bored and making it through so you see the big picture. You guys jack me up. I love every single one of you. I don't care if there's just 5, 10, 100 of you watching. But the point is, I see you carrying through this workshop number 9, and I know you guys are growing. So thank you. So then from there, like short-term and long-term, right? Look at short-term outcome, right? You said A plus B equals C. One step, very small. So, right, you're not going to say, I'm going to lose weight. That's still too soon, right? Or maybe you're not going to say, I'm going to lose my 40 pounds. You're going to focus on first 5. That's it. That's your short-term outcome goal, is 5 pounds. You're not going to try to put that on really hard and make it big. Then, as you can see, long-term outcome on the screen there, now you got a complex equation. It's not just about A plus B equals C. We're going from A through Z all the way down to that long-term outcome, right? So it's much more complex. We've had to build up some foundation through behaviors and short-term outcomes to now execute long-term outcomes. From there comes in passion. And guys, what's interesting about the 10% fitter method goal setting is it's not necessarily you start in the beginning. Somebody that's at a different level, I sit down and I have a conversation with a client and I go, you know what? You're pretty disciplined. You're doing a good job with executing the things that you said you're going to execute. The short-term outcome goals seem to be happening for you. You've even hit some long-term outcomes. But now something's missing. You're missing your why. And you're missing your passion. Or vice versa. Maybe they started with the why and they had their passion, but they haven't created the foundation of executing those goals properly. So then they're falling off and are not able to be successful. So then comes in passion, something that you truly are passionate about, right? Say, like, as an example, weight loss. I talk about weight loss obviously all the time because it's a common reason that people want to be healthy. So say it's weight loss that you're trying to accomplish, and that's your long-term outcome. But what should be your passion? Your passion should be, say you wanted to go to the beach and you've been self-conscious and you just haven't feel comfortable wearing a bathing suit or a two-piece bikini, whatever it may be. And now you set that passion of taking that dream vacation and you schedule that passion out a year from now and you actually buy the ticket. And you tell your partner, your whoever is going to go with you, that you're doing this. And then you remind yourself of what your short-term behavior goals, long-term behavior goals, short and long-term outcomes are truly about. It's about this passion. But still, you can see that's not the last one. And this is where many people stop. If you stop there, that's okay. At least you did better than most. But why is that dangerous? And I'm going to talk about that in a sec, but ultimately it's why finite goals are dangerous. Because when you get close to a goal, the work required to accomplish the last little bit is significantly higher than it took to accomplish the first bit. Yet the return on that is much smaller because you've made majority of the change. You already feel great, you look great, so that last 10% is not really worth it for your mind, for your dopamine. I've explained how neurotransmitters work, check out the previous workshops, but how that works. And now all of a sudden you're not motivated because you reached that end or you got close to an end. But if you have an infinite goal, meaning that you're able to keep going, keep learning, keep growing, no matter how much you grow, but doing more work, you keep improving. That is what it's all about. And that's what really Simon Sinek and all these guys are starting to focus on. But we've been talking about this and behavior change for decades. That's something that you keep growing. So with health, what's an infinite goal, right? As an example, you can look at your blood markers and you can say, I want to be in the top 5% of my age group as old as I get, right? You can always improve. You're always going to get better because everybody else is getting better. Or you want to perform with runs, or you want to lift a weight, or you want to be able to hike something, like whatever it is. It's a performance-driven thing, but it's something that can always get better and always improve. So now we're going to get into your perfectionism, right? So perfectionism is one of those things that I see all the time. People get crushed by perfectionism because they put out this thing and they go, okay, all right, I'm going to get healthy. Ready? So January 1st, Monday, 1st of the month, whatever it is, that clean slate. And I'm going to say, here's all these different things I'm going to do. And they're trying to be perfect. Why does this not work? The reason it doesn't work is because you're asking too much change from yourself. People don't talk about behavior change because very few people actually understand the science behind behavior change. People understand tidbits and pieces, but not the full thing. So they try to throw the whole the whole plan at once at their body. Here's the stats. When you change one thing about yourself, you have an 80 to 85% success rate that one thing will become a habit. When you change two things at once, it goes down to 35% or less, right? So about 50% variance between trying to change one thing at a time and two things at once, right? And it's funny, I'm once again seeing people fall off. Like, if you just knew this, if people just knew this, their lives would be different. But it's not the sexy six packs that sells. It's okay. So anyway, from there, understand that if you change three things or more, 10 to 5% or less, depends on what study you look up, success rate. So all you perfectionists out there, right? When you're trying to go and make this plan happen, how does it usually look like? Are you changing just one thing at a time and then seeing how it works, how it fits? No, you're changing 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 things at once because somebody gave you a meal plan and they said, go follow this meal plan. Or somebody gave you a workout plan and said, here's the dream workout that's going to solve all your problems. What problems? How does this person know what problems you exactly have? Do you even know what problems exactly you have? But you got this perfect plan that's got 20 different changes on it that's going to make you perfect. Bullshit, guys. That stuff doesn't work. But that's what social media, Instagram, and anything has you do because it captures your attention. So it's something that I have to, like I keep talking about in this workshop, it's something I had to get over. I had to get over trying to captivate minds and captivate hearts on social media because I can't. Because I sell stuff that works. And stuff that works is not sexy because it's systemic, it's science-based, it takes time. But it's permanent, doesn't hurt your health in the long run, it doesn't defeat your motivation. But it's not sexy to sit through, so that's why I'm proud of all of you that are still here. So the answer to this, right? What is the answer to perfectionism? Strive for progress, not perfection. Everybody says that, but what does that actually mean, right? So say that I'm trying to change something about myself. I'm trying to change that one thing. Oh, come on. Okay, we're good. Say I'm trying to change that one thing about myself. And instead of going and saying, okay, I'll play this out. Typically what happens, I'm setting goals with clients and they're going, okay, I want to be in the gym 5 days a week next week because that's what's ideal, right? 5 days of workouts with 2 days off to rest my body. Yes, that is ideal. But here's the real question. What are you doing right now? What are you putting into the gym right now? Are you doing 4 days a week and we're only going up one step, or maybe you're pretty consistent with 3? Oh, you're not actually going regularly to the gym. You haven't done exercise for a year, and now you're asking me what perfect is. I could tell you what perfect is, but I'm going to tell you that we're going to start with 3 days a week. And you're going to, at bare minimum, now, maybe not even 3, because we're going to say, what is the bare minimum that you can hit without any excuse coming in? So if the world blew up tomorrow and everything went crazy, what is the bare minimum you can accomplish? If that's 1, great. We're going to start with achieving 1. So your plan for this week is going to be 1. You're going to hit it or you're going to maintain. And that's always going to be the case. So we're not going to progress so fast that you fall backwards. We're going to progress so slow that you never go backwards. And I'm telling you, thanks so much for tuning in, Jeremy. I appreciate that, man. So I'm telling you, you do it that way, it'll work. But that's not what your brain is tricking you into. Your brain is tricking you into a diet, into quick fixes, into all these things. And it does not work. Ask yourself, how many years have you spent trying to achieve your health by chasing this all or nothing mindset? What if you've applied one change at a time per week, or even slower over that time? Where would you be then? Where would you be by now? Logic is prevailing. Now you're thinking about it, but guess what majority of people are going to do? They're still going to jump into these crazy programs and crazy, perfection plans. Doesn't work like that, guys. I'm just telling you. That's not what science says, and it's not what reality creates. So, right, the next thing, the all or nothing mindset. Perfectionism is one thing, right? The all or nothing mindset is another thing, because what all nothing mindset does is does a lot of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. It's inconsistent. And the solution to this is consistency. And part of 10% Fitter is before we worry about specificity and modality, meaning that before you worry about the kind of exercise you do, the perfect food that you eat, the mindfulness practices that you do, the specific stress management thing, are you first eating regular, consistent meals? Are you first getting to the gym consistently? Are you first spending time and focusing on mindfulness? And if those things are not happening yet, before we worry about specifically what are you doing, let's get consistent with doing them in a way that you enjoy the most, right? So that's all that I'm saying really on this slide, because what happens is you can see there on the right side, stop, go, make progress, drop down, make progress, drop down. Not going anywhere in life, but always feeling like we're chasing something. So slow down and take a different approach. Guys, so this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to introduce you guys a new concept of understanding making change like a volume knob, right? Or holding accountability and trying to focus on things like a volume knob. So what you're looking at is going to be slide number 12 here. But I understand that there's times in your life where environment and circumstances are perfect to really push and improve on things and be able to do things that are gonna, really be the best thing for you, right? So that would be a level 10. If you see there on the board, level 10, intense daily training for a tactical military job. Say that that's the best thing that you could do for movement, to get you weight loss, to get performance. But what if you're super busy? What if you're really tired because you're stressed and you're not eating as well, you're not sleeping as well, whatever it may be? You can't do that right now, right? So most people, they typically think, okay, because I can't do that, my normal stuff, I'm not going to do it because they can't be, they're focusing on this all or nothing. Because I can't be all in, I'm just going to be all out. That's a very typical thing that happens. But look at all the other options, 9 through 1, that this person can have, with 1 being park farther from office to walk more, right? So simply parking further away. You're still focused on movement in your life. Maybe not level 10, but you're still at level 1. But guess what you're doing at that time? You're still telling your brain that it's still something you're successful with. It's still something that you're moving forward with. And it gives you that pleasure. It gives you that good feeling through neurotransmitters that you're winning. Guys, feeling like we're winning really does a lot for us. So then from there, level 2 could be taking stairs instead of elevators. Level 3, 10-minute workout next to bed in the morning, right? And I can't make it to the gym. I'm just going to get 10 minutes next to my bed. Best thing I can do. Maybe reasonably challenging 30-minute workout 3 times a week because I can't do the full hour 3-5 times a week, right? And progress through that. But that applies to many different things, guys. It's not just movement, right? So nutrition. Right? Perfect nutrition at level 10, when environment is perfect, when your life is perfect, everything's going well, you're maybe going to be doing something along the lines of running an organic farm and health spa, all meals prepped by sports nutritionists, eat slowly with no distractions. Perfect world. That would be the best thing for you to do. But what if life is chaotic? You still can focus on nutrition. You don't have to be all or nothing. It could be as simple as replace one meal with less processed one. So if you're living in a chaotic state and everything seems to be processed and you can't seem to get ahead, can you celebrate a small win of replacing just one meal with natural food? Guess what's going to happen over time? As you do that week in and week out, you're going to prove to yourself that you can do it. You're going to see the benefits of how it's worth it. And you're going to create the winning momentum that makes your brain want to do it more. Guys, I'm telling you, this stuff works and it's amazing how it's applied. Let's keep playing with this a little bit. I'll give you guys some other examples, right? So sleep. Right? Level 10, perfectionism, all in on sleep. What does that look like? No screens outside of working hours, right? So that's the only time you're exposed to the screen. Advanced sleep tracking, right? We got the sleep monitor. We got all sorts of things around us, mattress picking it up. Maybe even a specially designed sleep pod that completely puts the perfect temperature, oxygen, noise, all reduction, all that. That's level 10. But what if life is happening and you can't do anything? Seems to be crazy. Can you just do a 5-minute wind down before bed where you just simply breathe? Breathe for 5 minutes, deep diaphragmatic breathing. Once again, still doing good things for your body, still feeling like you're moving forward and not giving up on it, and still not addressing, still basically avoiding this all or nothing mindset, guys. Got a couple more here examples, or 3 more examples for you here, just how it breaks down. I'm not reading them all. You can look over them, obviously, but you get the point. So social, right? So what is that going to be? Perfect social environment. You're going to live in a commune with a soulmate. Perfect environment, right? Where this environment is amazing. You found your soulmate. Everything's perfect. But sometimes life, it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes we just need a small thing, a small step to focus on our social behaviors, right? So how about asking a loved one for a hug? What if you just did that once a day? Or you extended a hug to somebody once a day? Like small focuses that still will make you feel better, still will make you perform better, and will get you to do more stuff. 2 more real quick. From there, let's talk about stress, right? Another big one that I see too many people, because they can't be all in, they're doing nothing. So level 10, perfect world. Full days with joy, play, fresh air, fulfilling, relaxed job, quiet contemplation, meditation, and weekly massages, right? That's perfect world. If I were to recover somebody and say if money was not an object, time was not an object, that's what we would be doing. But what about just 5 minutes of snuggling with a pet? Just 5 minutes of playing with your pet per day. And I'm telling you guys, the amount of oxytocin, the love hormone, the stress reduction, and things like that that'll come from it is amazing. but you don't have to be all in. Once again, last one, and then I'll get you guys to a homework assignment. There's a few more. There's a lot more slides after this, but. So from here, we're looking at our environment, right? Same thing, setting up a perfect environment for health. This would means that you live at a wellness retreat, meals prepped by private chef, and state-of-the-art at-home gym, right? That's what celebrities have. And by the way, many of you compare yourself to celebrities and you see these Photoshop pictures of them, and then you're judging your body, judging yourself based on what you're seeing, but you're not understanding that they have everything perfect. Their environment is perfect to look that way and in their Photoshop. So what could you do? What if you removed one trigger item from your kitchen? That's level 1 on the volume knob, right? One trigger item gets removed from the kitchen, and that creates success. It's that simple. So last one, and this is the homework assignment for this week. Guys, if you are wanting the homework assignments, guys, I'm releasing the free information, but the homework assignments and stuff like that, you have to go register on the website. The very first link or the second slide has it is www.prospectiveforce.com/10% fitter, and you can get registered and get access to all that stuff. It's free for a little while I'm doing this. As soon as I finish release of these workshops, they're no longer going to be free because I see what people do when it's free. They don't show up, they don't value it, even though this is a $10,000 worth of knowledge. It makes me laugh. But anyway, so homework assignment is figure out, what do you want to improve? What do you truly want to work on right now personally? And then you're going to create your own volume knob. You're going to say, what is level 10? What does the perfect world look like for this thing I'm trying to improve? That means that I'm at this thing. What I can't tell you because I don't know what that thing is. And then at the bare minimum, if I did the smallest thing possible, what is that smallest thing? So you're going to identify 1 and you're going to identify 10. And then you're going to fill in the rest to understand how you have this sliding scale, this volume knob that allows you to avoid this all or nothing mindset. When situations in life happen, we can turn that volume down and create less focus depending on how much stuff we have. Guys, I apply the same thing with accountability when I coach, right? I have clients who are fantastic, who are crushing it. You know, a client lost 10 pounds last week. I was like, great. I don't need to check in with them regularly. I don't need to ask them a bunch of questions. We just keep building and keep moving forward, adding information. But if they're not, that accountability gets turned up. I do a lot more things with them. And then as it gets better, it turns down. Guys, if you use that for leadership, by the way, it's an amazing concept to lead your teams like this. Think about, not everybody's the same. Each person required a different level of accountability. And when you start to understand it, I'm telling you, you'll change the way that you lead. All right, getting into the next problem. Quick fix button. Right, quick fix button, magic pill, whatever it is, whatever somebody promises you. This is why supplement companies become a multi-billion dollar company out there, or industry out there. And there's a lot of crap out there, and it doesn't work. But why is it these companies are making so much money? Because you keep wanting to buy the quick fix. You keep wanting to buy the thing that promises you all the results tomorrow, because you don't have the general knowledge, the high view knowledge to sit through this stuff, to actually capture the big picture and go, wow, and I actually see stuff from the big end. Because a lot of this stuff, people don't listen. They're like, oh, this may not be connected to me. Yes, it is connected to you. You just don't understand enough to be able to see it because you haven't seen that problem come up yet. So there's no quick fix, guys. It doesn't work. So what is instead a quick fix? What's we must be focused on? I already mentioned it. Consistency, right? Consistency is the answer. I'm going to show you guys some interesting stats right now that'll kind of open up your mind that even a little bit consistency makes a difference instead of this all or nothing mindset and jumping in and really going after everything all the time. So check out this slide. This is from Precision Nutrition. Precision Nutrition is the certification that I'm certified level 1, level 2 master coach. Been using them for 6 years now, I think, or so. My favorite nutrition certification, and that's the methods that I use. So the people that use Precision Nutrition use it with me. It's a year-long process because, as you can see, this knowledge is not surface. To actually grasp this all and do this all, they do it in a year. I do it in 6 months. I believe people can comprehend a little bit more. Plus, my clients are a little bit more high-achieving clients, not your average Joes and Janes. So for that reason, I push it through 6 months. But anyway, so people that only followed the plan with 10 to 49% consistency over 12 months were able to lose 11 pounds, both men and women. They were able to reduce 6% body fat and 5% respectively, 6% women, 5% men. Total inches lost, women lost 11 inches, men lost 8 inches, and from the waistline, 3 inches and 2 inches respectively, right? With just 10 to 49% consistency. What that means, what I'm getting at, they never stopped. They never stopped altogether. At the worst point in their journey, they were only 10% compliant. That means that all those buttons that we just talked about were turned down to 1, but they kept moving, they kept going. They got these results, even with that little consistency. So here on the right side, you see a little bit of an example, right? So they're counting their vegetables. As an example, 12 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. This person only hit 14 servings. But guess what? Every single day, they still got some. They still got good nutrients into their body. They didn't go and fall off the boat completely and say, it's a binge weekend, I'll start over again. Nope. At the very littlest consistency, they still maintain some, right? And then it gets better. Here's what happens when that consistency goes up to 50 to 79%, right? So 12 pounds of lost for women, 17 pounds lost for men. Men start to really beat women here when you start getting consistent. Hormones are unfortunate, women. We do tend to lose a little bit faster than you, and it sucks. I know how frustrating it is because women are my predominant clients. 7% body fat lost on both people. 15 and 12 inches lost, 3.5 and 4 inches lost from the waistline. Now let's look at what happens with 80 to 90% consistency. Now we're getting up to 15, 24 pounds lost, 17, 16 inches lost, 9, 11% pounds of body fat lost. And the last one is kind of the mega chart, or then you see the 90 to 100% consistency, right? We got all the way up to 29 pounds lost and 19. Now, these are not gimmick numbers, guys. These are numbers that are maintained. It means they got there and they're no longer fluctuating. That's what they're going to keep for their weight loss because we did it the right way, and I'm going to explain that in a second why that's different. 10 to 13% body fat lost. Would you like to lose about 13% of your body fat, guys, and 10% ladies? I would. I don't know about you, but I sure as heck would. And 5 to 6 inches off your waistline, fit in those jeans a little bit better. All it takes is consistency. I'm telling you guys, you don't need me. You really don't need me. You don't need my system. It helps a lot, I'm telling you, but you can do all this on your own as long as you're consistent. Here's the next big problem. We are disconnected from our future self, right? You see a picture there on the screen of a person got old face, young face, but we don't consider how our actions today are impacting our results tomorrow, and not considering how it impacts our results down the road, and more importantly, our health down the road, right? So how I see this play out, guys, I've been coaching for over 10 years, so I've seen big shift because when I first started coaching, I had a lot of clients come in, or prospective clients come in consultations, and they were concerned about their family history of health. They brought that up and said, I don't want to have that, so I want to do things today to avoid being that way down the road. They were connected to their future self. I don't hear that anymore. You don't hear those conversations anymore really in public of avoiding these health ailments that are genetic, or avoiding health ailments in general. Everybody's worried about in the moment, right now, what's in front of my nose, and not worried about it down the road. That goes against what we believe. We don't believe in that in 10% Fitter. What do we believe? This is the answer. Whatever it is that you do, you have to make sure that change occurs today. You can maintain results a year from now. It means that it wasn't a quick gimmick, something that only worked for a little bit and then it fell off. And most importantly, you're not going to hurt your health 5 to 15 years down the road. Right? That's the rule, that everything we do with 10% Fit, or anybody we partner with, anybody that we hire, bring on, it has to follow this rule. If it doesn't follow this rule, we can't work with you. Bottom line. Which means that a bunch of processed crap and additives that are promising you quick fix, weight loss pills, fat burners, we don't use any of that stuff because it's not true. It's a gimmick that robs you of money, your health, and motivation. So really, when we're looking at, don't believe everything you see on the media, right? That's another thing, that people are too gullible. People rely on media and they think that everything is true. They see a study was made, and because there was a study, somebody used the word study, that it means it's true. No, it's not. It's not true. Because you see these kind of things happen. New thing is released, everybody's using it, all of a sudden slows down, and new information finally comes out because it's been around long enough to test it and through the cycle that you see on the board, and all of a sudden use falls off, product disappears. Why? Because it was never studied deep enough to prove efficacy, to prove that it works. And then when that was done long enough, nobody was buying anymore because now it was disproved. So here's how studies work, right? Understand this, and I'm not expecting you to be a scientist, but I just need you to understand. There's case studies and reports. Majority of stuff you see online is that. Could have been a group of 5 people got together and they did something. It's very poor control, very poor measurements. It's done not very scientifically. Then they have to go through cross-sectional studies. They go through case control studies, cohort studies, randomized control studies, and finally meta-analysis. Somebody has to go and replicate what you did and do it the exact same way and in a grand scale, and has to show that for that to truly be factual. So everything that I share with 10% Fit, or everything we cover, is always based on studies that have been around for some time, have been proven, or at least have gotten much further on this cycle, because some of them take a really long time. So we do cover some things that are a little bit more in case control studies and cohort studies, but cross-sectional studies and core studies and reports we don't touch, because that's information that's not good for you necessarily, hasn't been proven. So from there, we got about 8 more slides left, and we got to wrap up. I actually got to go meet a friend for coffee right now. So can't fool a scholar. Guys, this is why I'm doing this for you, because this is why I need you to sit through some of the stuff that may not be super sexy and super entertaining and super, seems like it's not for you. Because when you get to this point where you empower yourself with this kind of knowledge, you can't fool you. You know, these people come to me and they're like, oh my God, Anton, I'd love for you to partner with us, and you have a great following online. We want you to sell our product. I look at it and I go, no thanks. Why? But it's amazing. I'm like, because X, Y, and Z. And they're like, how did you know that? Because I understand how body works, I understand how science works, I understand the big picture. So here's the reality. You want to become understanding of what it takes to build your health and to truly transform your life through health. You need to be able to be at this top right, create phase. Most of you and most of your social media gurus that are selling you so much stuff and you're following blindly, they can just remember and understand and maybe apply information. They can't analyze it, they can't evaluate, and they can't create and custom tailor it to you. Why? Because they're a 25-year-old kid that only did it for themselves, and now they're telling you how they did it. They're not a coach. They don't know how to apply 1,000 different ways to one individual person and figure out which ones are best for him. They're a master of one. It doesn't work like that, guys. You are way more complex than the 25-year-old kid's body. So even if it's a 50-year-old body, if they just know a system, a way, they're not a coach. Stop saying that, people. Like, you're robbing people. You need to know many different ways to coach people and then say, okay, from what they know, what they believe, let me hook them into that heartstring and slowly pull that out of them and get them to implement it. That's what true coaching is. Majority of the people that you see online, they're just trainers. They take a piece of information and regurgitate it. And I wouldn't even say a good trainer. That's just how they are. And you falling prey for this because you don't understand the big picture. You need to become smarter. You need to become empowered information, and that's why I'm doing all this stuff. From there, we're getting into your fad diets, right? Following fad diets. So you got your now, guys, fads, keto is not a fad diet. Paleo is not a fad diet. These things have been around for some time. They've proven efficacy. Now, as standalone, diets don't work. Can diets be useful tools? Yes, and I'll cover that in a sec. But the reality is the Sacred Heart, the HCG, the Master Clans, those are the fad diets that will hurt you. They'll hurt you guys. I'm telling you, I've worked with clients with HCG diets where they put you on HCG and it makes you not hungry, and then they give you a 500 calorie restriction. Crashed out their metabolism. Took me a year to recover this client. 1 year of working with them to get him to lose weight. You know how hard it was for that person? But better yet, you know how many people have seen fall off trying to make their health better because they screwed it up so bad with HCG. Excuse my French, because pieces of shit out there took advantage of him and said, you know what, let me sell you this for $500,000 and promise you stuff that you will never happen and hurt your health in the process. And then I had to pick up the pieces with those people, and they lost 100 pounds, and then they gained it back in 6 months, and nothing they could do could stop it. That's why I'm talking about this, guys. That's why this is important. Because people out there lie and they cheat and they steal and they forget on the other side is a human being who wants to be better. Sorry, just a really personal thing for me that pisses me off and why I hate majority of social media sell crap people. Sorry, I get upset. Just reminded me about this client that I work with, and just her pain. I relive it every time I think about HCG. Just to see how much she struggled and how much I had to work to keep pushing her and showing her the bigger picture and trying to find ways to keep motivating her because the weight would not move until a year later. And I'm telling you, it wasn't anything she was doing wrong. It wasn't anything I was doing wrong. It's how screwed up her body was. So from there, right, you're looking at yo-yo dieting. So in this picture, real quick, just a diagram, take a look. What I want you to notice is that You have your weight is the pink line. You have your caloric intake, which is the dashed line, and you have your metabolic rate is the blue line. Metabolic rate is what does your body burn at rest, right? How many calories your body consumes at rest. So when a typical yo-yo diet, what happens? A person quickly drops their calories. They drop a bunch of weight. You see all those numbers are going down. But they burn themselves out because they don't do it the right way. They make all the mistakes that we just talked about already. And what happens then? They binge eat afterwards. They spike their calories back to their normal. The problem is their caloric intake usually goes up a little bit than it used to be because they're binging, they're catching up with what they've been missing on. Then the other issue is that their metabolic rate does not bounce back as much. So now they're taking in a little bit more calories that they ate, but their metabolic rate didn't come up as much. So now that gap has increased. So what in turn happened? They gained weight. So they actually gained more weight than they lost the first time around. If you look at a yo-yo dieter, it's up and down, but it's chronically up throughout history. It's just how it goes. So then, once again, they do it all over again. They go on the next diet. Everything quickly comes down, but you can see the third jump is even higher. Their metabolism is even lower. Their caloric intake is even higher or about the same, but their weight is even greater. Right? So that's the problem. That's why this yo-yo dieting period doesn't work. You have to do it a specific way to make it happen. I'll talk about that in a sec. So build your health around your life versus cramming a plan into it. Guys, that's what this gradual change teaches you. That's why I'm taking my time and releasing these 25 workshops. And when it actually becomes a system, once I start doing this in a course, it'll only be one a week. I want people to go through 6 months of this transformation to truly build a lifestyle because it's a bare minimum of 90 days to start to create a lifestyle. After that, it's going to get, other things can happen. You can have relapses. So I usually say 6 months or greater. Almost there, guys. We got 5 slides left. So now we're getting into not understanding the big picture of metabolism. That's another big mistake that I've seen. Interesting piece of the slide here on the right side. If you forget everything from this presentation, just please remember this. All those people on the board, right, ate 1,000 extra calories per day for 8 weeks. What happened? What's supposed to happen, what most people will tell you, the count calories and push you all this bullshit, they'll tell you, okay, 3,500 calories equates to a pound. So if this person ate 1,000 more calories per day than they did before, right, that's a total equivalent of 16 pounds should have been gained. It's 50-some thousand calories extra. I forget what the actual number is, right? So it's 7,000 extra calories a week, 8 weeks, 56,000 calories divided by 3.5. It's 16 pounds should have been gained. What actually happened? When you look further on the right, you see that some people only gained 0.79 pounds during that time, and some people gained 9.3 pounds. Nobody gained 16 pounds. Why such a spread? Because you're all different. Because you need a custom tailored system. You need specific approach. Metabolism is not a linear equation. It's not that simple. So then you look on the left and you understand why that happens, right? So you have your energy balance. Factors that influence energy in and factors that influence energy out. It's not as simple as how much you ate and how much you burnt. There's so many more components, guys. And when I cover metabolism in the future, I'll deep dive into a lot more of this. But understand that your basal metabolic rate, all the things that matter in energy in, or energy out, I should say, is how much you burn at rest, how much you burn through exercise, how much you burn through non-exercise activity, walking, moving, fidgeting, how much of thermic effect of food has been applied to your diet that you're having. And then on the other side is how much energy in, how much is your appetite influencing that, your food consumed, your calories absorbed. Absorption rate has so much to do with it, which I'll talk about gut health in a little bit, not today, but in a future episode. And then psychological factors. Nobody talks about stress and how that impacts your ability to consume and observe calories, but it absolutely does. 4 more slides. We're almost there, guys. So from there, stop lowering your calories and increase output. I know that I'm covering a lot of stuff that each one of these probably should be a workshop, but I just covering a high level because I need you to understand how to ask better questions. That's all it's about. After these 25 weeks, I promise you, or 25 workshops, I promise you, you will ask better questions, and then we'll start to implement a system that'll get you to transition it. But as long as you're journaling about everything, you're going to come back and see what were the most important ones for you to start and how to go about doing it. So output increase, right? I'll give you an example. I met this young lady, God, it was a few years ago. It was probably about 6-7 years ago. And she was fit. I mean, she wasn't overweight. She was a good-looking young lady, probably about my age, maybe a little bit younger. But she wasn't necessarily healthy from a standpoint of great health. She just looked lean. And the reason I'm telling you this is she was eating about between like 1,200 and 1,500 calories daily. Then we started working out. We started training. And she said, Anton, I like eating. I don't want to keep eating nothing and I'm getting hungry. And like, that's okay. So the whole point is she wanted to eat more calories than an average person does because she actually enjoys it, but she didn't mind making them clean. So now, not now, I don't know how it is now, but when we were done, she went from eating, somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 calories to consistently eating about 2,400 calories. She was leaner, more fitter, had more energy, better physique, better mood, you name it, it was all improved, but she was consuming 1,000 calories more per day than he did before. Why was she able to do it? Because we focused on how to get her body to burn more calories, how to increase her expenditure, not just through exercise, but all the other factors. And then 2,400 calories became her maintenance. That's really cool, guys. And that's really what it's about. So from there, last 3 slides, just talking about if you do diet, right? If you do starve yourself, you need to understand something. When we yo-yo, this is what happens, right? Here's 3 kind of example, 3 ladies on the board. You have your one who's never dieted. She maintains her weight at 2,475 calories, meaning that if she eats 2,475 calories, she does not gain weight, does not lose weight, her body just stays the same. Here's a person who just tried her first diet recently. All of a sudden, because of the things that we saw in previous slides, we see that now her maintenance weight is 2,225 calories per day. Now, there's some people that say, oh, you can't hurt your metabolism. It's not true that your metabolism slows down. Here's the fact. It slows down, it's not permanent. And we're going to talk about how to recover it. But do understand, your metabolism does slow down if you starve yourself. So this person now, after one diet, instead of being able to maintain her weight at 2,475 calories, only be able to maintain her weight at 2,225 calories. So 250 calories have came off the board. She no longer has at her disposal. Now let's look at a person on the very right. They're about the same size. They're all maintaining weight. But for this person to maintain their weight, they can only do 1,980 calories because of the chronic yo-yo dieting. So if you do diet, what must you do in order to not screw your body up? That's what it looks like. It's called reverse dieting. Reverse dieting is a concept that you see on the left here when we went through the slide already. Every time you rebound from a diet, you end up getting more weight because your metabolism slows down, your caloric intake goes up. Because you come back with caloric intake too fast. You start implementing way too many calories right away. This is actually the one diet that I pulled away from bodybuilders. Bodybuilders use this a lot because they get super lean and they need to be able to maintain that leanness but still increase their calories because they can't eat like that forever. They'll eat their muscle away. So what you see here, a diet happens, but then very gradually you start to increase caloric intake. Very small. I'm going to show you in the next slide how much that looks like. But what happens with that is your metabolism starts to go up. But look at what happens with the weight. The weight only gradually creeps up and then it levels out. And then you're significantly lighter than you were before. This is so key, guys. If you are a dieter, I don't believe in dieting, but if you are a dieter and you do want to use a diet from time to time, this is how you come out of a diet. So now looking at, depending on your goal and depending on where you're at, last slide here, how do you actually come out of this? So if your goal is physical performance, right? So you're going to see that different kind of categories here. You have a goal of physical performance. You have a goal of increasing maintenance. I can't really read there. Increasing maintenance calories, right? So being able to have more calories throughout your life without having to, without necessarily gaining weight. And then obviously recovering from very low body fat levels. So you can see here, they're all illustrated, but I'll break down this example. The bigger one is you're going to increase every single day about 140 to 180 calories per day, which means about 1.5 cup handfuls of carbs or 1.5 thumbs of fat or 1.5 combined portions of each, right? So every day, only a little bit at a time. Your metabolism is going to increase to match the caloric intake, but the weight will not creep up with it. So that's what you focus on. And it's a lot less if you're somebody in a different category, right? Bodybuilders are super lean. They're going to increase at 1.5, where somebody like that's just trying to maintain their calories, they're not necessarily super lean. They're trying to be able to maintain a higher level. They may only increase 0.5 cup per day instead of 1.5 cups because they're in a different physique, different level, different emphasis, right? So understand all these things, guys. That's the focus point for today. That's really all I have for you. If you have any additional questions, guys, shoot me a DM. If anything I need to cover in the future presentation, you can feel free to throw it in the comments or throw me a DM, and I'll cover anything you need in the future. We got more coming up this weekend, and stay tuned. And this has been a great pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you all for